as we wrap up, I'd love to have just end with one question for you.
Sure.
If you could go back into your 40s and 50s, and I'm just picking kind of that 2 decade mark, but maybe it's between 45 and 55. How would you view the world now for people that are sort of like at that next part of their careers and their lives? How would you view the world now if you could kind of reverse the clock for listeners, and how would you approach the next decade of your life if you were 45 again?
I'm not sure I would do much different. Maybe I don't really quite understand the question.
You've been doing some writing about thinking and about how to approach like there's a third option. And
yeah.
And so I think sometimes the innovators, we can get stuck in patterns of thought. And of course, you got to turn your camera and show people like the two stories of books that you have. You're obviously have read thousands of books,
Right.
but you said that changing people's minds is really why you read books. And I'm just curious how you would coach someone to think about the world
I think when I was 45, one of the realizations that I kind of came up with is because of my success at Wired and writing books was when you're really young, when you're first starting out, your energies are really kind of devoted to doing the job well, not getting fired, basically. Whatever it is, I want to do it really well. I don't want to screw up or get fired or disappoint somebody. And then if you're lucky enough to kind of have some mastery of that, then you begin to think about, well, I'm doing it well, and I'm getting paid, but I really want to do something that that I love doing. Okay. And so you start to have the second circle of like things that I can do well and things that I love doing. And if I can get paid for that. And so at some point you get this kind of like this triangle where you're doing something that other people value, you can do it really well, and you love doing it. And that's kind of maybe where you get to be when you're 45. And it seems like, okay, you finally reached it. And for me, I had an epiphany about then, because I started to have a lot more opportunities because of that success, where I was getting offered. I had a lot more choices about, okay, there's now kind of a very long line of hundreds of things that I could do that I'm good at, that people want done, and that I would enjoy doing. What am I going to do? And that was when I realized that I was only going to do things that nobody else would do. Either they couldn't do it or they didn't want to do it. And that came from my time at Wired, where I was trying to assign story ideas. So I'd have an idea, try to find writers to this great idea, and I couldn't find any writer who thought it was a good idea. That was like, that's not a good idea. Oh, I guess it was okay. I have a lot of ideas. I have some other ideas. And then we go on to some other ideas. And then later on, the first idea that I had would come back to me and say, that is a good idea. I really should have someone do that. And I would try again to pitch it, to sell it to somebody. And again, it would be batted down. No, that's not a good idea. Who's interested in that? Oh yeah, okay, you're right. And then I go on to my other ideas and go on. But then maybe occasionally there'd be this one idea would not go away and would come back. And then I tried to sell it and I couldn't. And then it was like, okay, I get it. I really think this is a great idea. I'm the only one that thinks this is interesting. I'm the only one who can do it. And those turned out to be my best ideas, my best things. It was the ones that I could not sell. So I am in the habit of trying to give away my ideas all the time. I am always trying to give away my best ideas, because if someone else does it, that means, oh, that's an idea I don't have to do because someone else is going to do it. So I'm trying to give away ideas to find out the ones that nobody will take.
And then
Okay.
and then you decided you were going to tackle
And
the
then I'll
things.
have to do those, and those are the ones I
Mhm.
have to do. And if I do them, they're going to be good because nobody else is doing it. And while you're doing it, I don't have to worry about competition. I've been trying to give it away for decades. It's very easy to go along. It's a natural thing. So, so I'm a big believer in trying to give your ideas away.
Give the ideas away, and then the ones that remain are the ones that you tackle.
Right. If you still think it's a good idea. So the shorter version of that is someone in the 45 or 50 may be in the position to really be asking the question about what they do next is, can I imagine anybody else doing this? Can anybody else do this? Because
Great
if they
question.
can, then that means that I'm probably, it's not the best thing for me. I want to be doing things that nobody else is going to be doing. So one of the projects I did recently was called Vanishing Asia. It's this huge book. It's so big, I divide up into 3 volumes of 1,000 pages. There's 9,000 images. The distinct period part of Asia, I worked on it for 50 years. And believe me, there's nobody else who could do this or would do this or did it. And it's very much me. It's a very kind of overwhelming, over the top. It's a compulsion almost on my part. The amount of energy I spent doing it. Believe me, there's no market for this. There's nobody in the world saying we want some pictures. We want more pictures of Vanishing Asia. It was like totally a passion project of
Yeah,
my
passion
own
project.
that I had to do. I know, I'm not competing against anybody, and it remains to be seen whether anybody else is interested in it. But I didn't care because all I wanted out of it was one copy for myself, because I was the audience for it. And so some of my essays and other things begin that same way as trying to find something that I have passion for, that enthusiastic, that I can do well, that nobody else is going to do.
Yeah, but I think that's a massive learning point that you just made, because you have instead of trying to figure out who's going to buy something, you focus on your own internal enthusiasm for a particular topic, and then that in the process that actually comes out, and that gives people, they can see that enthusiasm and they want a piece of it. And
That's absolutely true. That's how we started Wired. We made Wired, and Wired was very consciously created for us, the creators, as an audience. We were bored. We wanted a magazine that we wanted to read. I told every single writer, who's your audience? It's not the 11th grader out there. It's not your grandma. Your audience is me. And I am,
right.
I've read everything. I am totally bored by, you have to amaze me, because this is what we're making the magazine for. I am the audience. I want this magazine for me. So, so write to me. And so, I can't say we don't care whether anybody else read it. We did, but we knew just from our own experience that if I could make a magazine that I wanted to read, there would be other people reading it.
Right.